Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just sitting on the floor in my bedroom. That's where the light is good right now. Drinking a ginger ale, having a few Lay's original chips just to try and calm my stomach. That's where we are. I just wanted to continue on in my blogging series. So I've done my first video all about blogging. I talked about how I got started, kind of a little bit about the industry. So I will link that for you guys in case you want to see that first video, get a little bit of background information. But I had a lot of questions from people. People were very interested in learning more. So I'm going to do a bit more of a series. So today we're going to talk all about how I make my money blogging. And I'm going to be really candid. I have some notes. Also, I'm wearing this PSG Prada Spice Girls sweatshirt, and it is the best. Basically, how I make the majority of my money is through sponsored posts or collaborations. So I'll give you a little bit more information on how that works. In the beginning of my career, it was a lot more me reaching out to brands. You know, when you're unknown, you really want to get yourself in front of brands and it's up to you to reach out to them. Now, especially with an agency, a lot more of it is brands reaching out to me, which is wonderful. You know, I've been doing this for almost 5 years full time. It is how I make my sole income. It's how I support myself and my family. A brand reaches out to me that I'm not familiar with. Let's start with that example. So the first thing I do is look them up, look up what they're all about, make sure that their values align with mine. I think that's really important. And then obviously you need to try the product. So I'll get that sent over. We'll try the product. If everything goes well, then we'll move forward with the collaboration. So obviously you need to make sure that the brand, as well as the product and the campaign and kind of the message behind the campaign, aligns with you, resonates with you, and you think that it will also resonate with your audience. So once you've kind of gotten to that stage, then you will talk more about pricing and deliverables. So deliverables are just basically like a breakdown of what the brand is hiring you to do. So for example, somebody would hire me to do a YouTube video and an Instagram video and then a series of Instagram stories as well. So you would price that out and send that over to the brand. And then there may be a little bit of back and forth. In all honesty, I don't do this very much anymore because my agency takes care of it. So a lot of the time, brands will reach out directly to my agency. My manager's email is in my Instagram bio. So if people are looking to get in touch, they can do that way. Or if somebody reaches out to me on Instagram about a collaboration, then if I'm interested, I will say, great, let me pass on my manager's email and you guys can chat a little bit about it. For the most part, I don't get into the deliverables, pricing that out, and going through all the contracts. I used to do that obviously in the beginning, so I do know how to do that, but on a day-to-day basis, most of my job is doing like emails and then obviously the creative side as well. Need a chip break. Once you decide on deliverables and pricing, you can also figure out a due date. A lot of the times most of the time, brands want to see your content before you post it, which is totally fair. They want to make sure that the photo or the video aligns with what they're looking for and that the messaging around it aligns with it. There are requirements that brands usually have, like please tag this and this, use this hashtag that's specific to the campaign. Obviously, I disclose any kind of ad on every platform, whether that's hashtag ad on Instagram or on YouTube. I say this post is sponsored or this video is sponsored by whoever. I always do that. I don't know if that's the law in Canada actually, but I think it's really important to be transparent. So a lot of the time for campaigns, there'll be a brief. And basically what that is kind of what they're looking for in the video or the photo, what kind of information they want you to include in the caption or in a blog post or whatever. That will be either written into the contract or sent in a separate brief. So sometimes brands will give feedback based on that. There is the odd time where brands will ask for a reshoot. A lot of the time we're able to kind of like come to a compromise. Like if a brand wants a specific messaging integrated in there, then I can kind of do that, but I always try and do it in my own words in a way that like sounds like me. And a lot of brands are really good about that. They're the odd larger corporations that kind of don't understand what like storytelling or influencer marketing is. They really think about this stuff as more like a traditional advertisement that is, you know, super addy, like very in your face and all about the product. Whereas like storyteller marketing or influencer marketing is a lot more like integrated into my life. It's a lot more about kind of a lifestyle and how you integrate that into your lifestyle. I think brands are getting a lot better about this, but like if you're gonna hire an influencer for marketing, you kind of need to understand that they know their audience best and they know what is gonna work with their audience the best. So if somebody's trying to get you to say something specific, you know, maybe they want like a talking point said in a specific way, but it's just not how I would say it. Like I'm always going to push back on that. It just doesn't make sense. And it's not something that will resonate with my audience. You know, sometimes there has to be compromises between influencers and brands, and I totally respect that. Like in the end, this is a business interaction, but also in the end, at the end of the day, this is my livelihood, and myself and my life kind of are my brand. So you always have to be like very aware of that and think about the long-term picture. This is something that I've always done, and I think this is why I've been able to do this. You know, this is now my almost 5 years doing this full time, is you really want to play the long game. So like I know that my audience knows when I don't really like something or I don't really use something, or if the messaging is like super addy or whatever, like they're not gonna resonate with that, they're not gonna understand it, and they're not gonna like it. Like why would I try and push something like that on my audience? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And also it will probably lose me followers, it will lose me customers, and in the long run, it's not good for my business. So, you know, you can do that in terms of being super selective of who you partner with, which I really am. I definitely turn down a lot of things. I just actually turned down this company that wanted me to promote a scale just because I don't think that it's necessary to have a scale to have a healthy relationship with your body, to be a healthy weight, and to feel good about yourself. I don't think that a number is important at all. I'm kind of all over the place, aren't I? I'm trying to get back to what I was doing. Okay, so obviously in playing the long game, you want to be selective in who you're partnering with, but you also want to be selective in the visual content that you're putting out there, as well as the text and the captions that you're putting out there. If a brand has feedback for me, which sometimes they do, I'll work with them to try and come to a compromise, try and come to a place where we're both happy. There's the odd time where I have to do a reshoot. There's a paid reshoot and an unpaid reshoot that I'll do. And this is the same for a lot of influencers, I believe. So if I've made a mistake and I haven't followed something in the brief or something that was fully outlined to me, then I will reshoot that content. But if it's something that wasn't made clear to me, if something has changed in the campaign, then we will ask for a reshoot fee. You know, influencer marketing is huge. It is just growing and growing. A lot of companies are on board, which is wonderful. I feel like a lot of companies are understanding that hiring someone long-term is really the way to go, because like, I want to have relationships with brands that I really love and use them long-term and promote them long-term. And B, that also bodes a lot better for that brand's customers, because if you see something over and over and over, if you see somebody use a product over and over and over, then obviously you understand that it's something that they love, and it's something that they've integrated into their routine, and you're more likely to buy that product as opposed to just a one-off post. Like I said before, it can definitely be difficult trying to wrangle with especially larger companies. This is just a made-up example. Like, let's say I was working with a foundation company. Let's say somebody comes to me and is like, we want to promote this foundation. So the first thing I'll look at is the brand. Do they align with me? Are they somebody that I would use? Are they somebody that I have already used? B, is the foundation for me? I don't like full coverage. You guys know that. My audience knows that. If it's a more full coverage foundation, the brand needs to understand upfront that I'm going to be using it more just where I need it. And I'm going to be blending it out pretty sheer. You know, I'm not the right person to promote a full face, full coverage foundation. And so I try and make that really clear upfront with the brand. And so the other thing that I would want to make clear is that I would want to show how I integrate that foundation into a routine. So maybe I'm doing an everyday makeup look, maybe I'm doing a red lip for night or whatever. But I would want to make sure that I can use other products, and it can totally be from that brand. Like, you have to be respectful that if a brand is paying for a post, they're not going to want to see another brand that's potentially their competitor in that post. But, you know, I would want to be like, okay, that's totally fine. Can I also use lipstick, mascara, and blush from you guys and integrate that into the video as well? You know, that's a good example of how I would integrate a product into kind of a larger concept as opposed to just doing a video of me putting on the foundation, you know, showing what it looks like, etc., etc. Some influencers do that and that works for them, right? Like, you need to make sure that the influencer and the brand pairing works together. So myself and my managers make it really clear that that's not really something that I'm doing. I'm not gonna, you know, do a video that shows just me applying the foundation and that's it. Because then it's almost a review, and I don't think that reviews should be sponsored. Because then I think that they're not actual reviews. They're just a bot review, which is kind of pointless. I always want to have added value onto the video concept in the bigger picture. I hope that makes sense. I hope all of this makes sense to you. There are times where larger companies just won't understand that, and it can be really, really frustrating because at the end of the day, you have to decide if you want to be working with those companies. And the tough part is that a lot of the time they are the ones who have a lot of money, and they are the ones who will pay you really well. So the other way that I make my money is through affiliate links. This is a much, much, much smaller portion of my income. So basically, whenever I share, and this isn't all the time, but if, let's say I share a sweatshirt or a lipstick that I really like, whether it's like on stories or on YouTube, I will sometimes give you guys an affiliate link, and that just means that whenever you click on that and buy the product, I will get a small amount of money, and it's usually really small. It's only like a few dollars, so it's not really a way to have a full-time income. It's more a way that kind of is like supplemental income. It's like a little bit extra that's nice. It's definitely not my main source of income. You know, it's something that doesn't bother me as a consumer. I don't know if it bothers you guys. If, you know, I make a little bit of money off things that you end up spending your money on. I always like to support influencers that I really like, and if they're recommending something and I want to try it, then I'll try and use an affiliate link. And there actually have been times when some of you guys have asked me for like a code or an affiliate link to make sure that I get a little bit of money or like recognition from the brand, which is always really, really sweet. I really, really, really appreciate it. Then the third way that you can make money with this job is to do a collaboration with a brand. So this is something that's very new to me. This is something that I just started doing last year. So two examples of that would be my jewelry line that I did with True Curated Designs and the capsule collection that I did with Park and Fifth. I'm wearing my own jewelry. This is from my collaboration with them, as well as this pinky ring and my hoop earrings. And I will have all that linked for you guys down below if you're interested. But basically the way that that works is you would get a percentage of sales. Because this is newer for me, and I think it really depends on the brand and the kind of relationship that you have with them. But like sometimes you'll have a brand pay more upfront if you're doing a specific amount of content for them on this collaboration. You know, you kind of need to take into account your ideas, your time, your creativity, etc., etc., and then you will also get a percentage of the sales. So that's how that works for those two collaborations. And that's kind of the other way that I would make money. So ultimately, I think that I would like to have my own little line of something, but that's probably more in the future. You know, I am pregnant now. I'm going to be having a child in July. So I don't know if now is the right time to do that. But if you guys have something that you would like me to have as part of my line, you know, I was thinking more like either basics with clothing, stuff that like fits really well and that every woman needs, or kind of basics with jewelry, but that's a whole nother undertaking. As I always am, I want to be really candid and open with you. And then, like I said at the beginning of the video, there's not really, like, you will see people kind of spell out a formula for how to price yourself. But the thing that I think people need to take into consideration is that it's not just about how many followers you have or how much reach, because that's definitely part of the formula. But there's also all of the creativity and all of the time that you put into a project. So, you know, when I'm doing a photo, or a video, especially for a large project, I will spend hours going through Pinterest, putting together like a mood board, an inspo board. If I have to pull clothes, then I will kind of like put on a stylist hat and pull some clothes and jewelry, etc. for that shoot. Then you have to make sure that you have a photographer. You have to scout a location. After the shoot is done, which can take hours, then there's editing. And then obviously there's the work into making sure that the caption or the text goes along with the photo. So it can be a lot of work. It is a lot of work. All of the time and effort that goes into that should also be taken into account, as opposed to just you have a certain amount of followers and for every 1,000 followers you should charge like $40. But basically formulas just in general, I find, will either go super, super high, which is not what brands will pay, or it'll be really, really low and kind of won't take into account the creativity and time and effort that you put into it. So that's just something to keep in mind. You have to really think about market value. So you have to kind of always look at what somebody will pay you to do what, and then you have to take so many things into account when putting your rate out that there isn't just like a one size fits all formula. That's basically why I'm not going to tell you what my rate is or like how to put together a rate. You know, the other reason is that a lot of the time it'll be my agency who, and of course I always have the final say, but they'll say, you know, your rate's too high. There's a lot of brands who are passing up on stuff, and then I'll lower my rate because I want to make sure that I'm still getting opportunities that I really want. Or, you know, they'll say that the market is really paying for you right now. We might want to increase your rate a little bit. What else? The other thing, this is just an aside, and I will go into contracts in another video, but you want to make sure, actually no, I'm going to go into contracts in another video because there's a lot that we should go into in terms of like digital usage and ownership, etc., etc. So I'll just answer a few questions that you guys had for me. How do I manage fluctuating income? So this is really difficult as a freelancer because my monthly income changes all the time. So I really have to make sure that I have some padding in my savings so that if there's a month or two where I have no income, that I'm gonna be okay. So I would just say that you really have to think longer term with your finances. I know that that's not fun, but it's kind of part of your job as a freelancer, especially if it's gonna be your career, to kind of sort that out. This is my only income, yes. I said that before. I've been doing this full-time for almost 5 years. How long does it take to make money? So this is such a difficult question. Like, it took me years to make any money. I started this as a hobby. I was doing it as well as a full-time job, but it really took me, I would say, like at least a few years of doing it pretty hard to make any kind of money that you would be able to quit your job. Like, you're not going to be able to start a blog and then within a year, well, I don't know, some people may, but in my experience, you're not going to be able to start a blog and then within a year, like, quit your job, your full-time job, and make an income and have that be your sole income. There's a lot of work that goes into this industry. There are so many different facets that you need to understand and, you know, get good at, from like contracts to all the just creative work to all of the relationships you have with brands. There are so many things that are involved. That's all I have to say on that. I think that was a pretty long video though. Again, I will be doing more in this blogging series. I would love to know what you guys would like to hear. So I'll just give you a preview of some of the videos that will be coming up. So one will be all about contracts, and this obviously depends on yourself and the brand and what kind of job it is, etc., etc. But there are some things that I think that a lot of people should know with contracts. There will be one on how I shoot content, how I edit content, what my typical day looks like. And the short answer to that is that there's not really a typical day, although with the pandemic, it's a little bit more typical. You know, another one will be all about a website, so for your blog. And yes, I do still think that blogs are relevant. I still definitely use blogs, but you just need to make sure that you're utilizing it in a way that really works for the platform and for yourself. So like, for example, it's way easier to shop a look on a blog as opposed to on Instagram. And then blogging equipment, so like what I use, my setup, that kind of thing. That's all I got for you guys. I will have this makeup, I will have this makeup look in a vlog. I filmed it earlier, so I will be putting that in a vlog. So if it's up, I will link that in case you guys are interested in that. And thanks for watching. If you like this series, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.